Oh, I am a very happy man now because finally Black Clover has finally done the thing that I wanted to do. So, next week's episode is going to be quite exciting for a lot of us, as a lot of us can't actually know about a bit of Japanese and everything, but I can say without at least all that, like, hopefully, like, with the next 2, maybe 3 episodes, I should hope that we're going to be getting into stuff. And even as well, that's not to say at least that episode 54 was probably the most touching episode of Clover that we've had flat out, period. Like, it was actually a really just nice, somber episode. So, unfortunately, I didn't cover episode 53 last week. I do apologize for that. So, this is going to be a double bill review. We're going to be talking about some of the events that happened in 53 and 54. Generally, I think, like, was just a nice overall episode of just this is what I wanted to see after the aftermath of, like, everything that happened down, like, with Asta and everything. Even though he did get involved with the war, which, again, like, with the whole little invasion that the Diamond Kingdom attacked the border, I always felt a little bit weird about that. They still try to get himself involved. Like, I feel like if it was a more of the showcase of, like, Asta clearly cannot handle this, if this would have been a more better use of the example, but quite a few things happened as well, with, like, especially the 54 with the updated opening, which is one thing we mentioned as well. I've done a live reaction to that, and yeah, you can see there are a bunch of characters and a few differences that's like, yeah, the next arc is going to be very impactful, considering that this, with the material that we wanted to cover and all that, is what I wanted for, like, the original 51 episode run that we was going to be covering into. So with the first episode that we're going to be talking about, 53, we get to see kind of like more of the aftermath of, like, the war. We get to see, like, as well, it was a lot more comedy based with, like, on Asta's side of the things, where it was like Charmy and, like, the little Sylph were having a little argument over Yuno. It was kind of a little cute moment on there as they go and clean up everything with that piece of shit Diamond King and all that. Asta and Yuno had this really touching kind of like moment of, like, where, like, Yuno actually defends, like, Asta from Langris, where, like, he was being a piece of shit to Finral and everyone else, calling them, like, commoners, and just, like, look at how, like, disgusting a lot of these people are, as, like, they did, like, reunite after, like, all this time. And even when, you know, when they leave, he's like, I'm going to surpass you, I'm going to surpass Asta, and more importantly, I am going to be the Wizard King. And he was like, huh, alright then, like, because he's, like, talking about, like, the first thing he needs to do is become the captain of the Golden Dawn, whereas, like, oh, so I just have to take it up. With recent stuff in the manga, who knows where that could be actually going right now, especially with, like, Yuno being, like, where he is at right now with, like, stuff going down in the manga. But it was an interesting thing that that's being brought up again recently. One thing to say, like, especially where, like, they actually defended, like, one of that old-ass general was, like, trying to attack, because Langris was like, oh, he's got people in there. Oh, well, like, that just goes in, and Asta, using the combination of Finral teleporting and using a bit of Charmy's magic as well, was able to go in and actually defend them. It's still, like I said, I still felt weird about this, mainly the fact that Asta was, I felt like Asta should have really failed at this and maybe be like, Yuno actually try to help him down on here, like, but again, it was just showing that this is what Asta, like, Asta is still at least trying him. Well, I mean, he would have ate hard shit if it wasn't for, like, Yuno, like, softening his blow at the very end with this, but again, like, it showed, like, he was actually breathing heavy and it's like, I'm struggling against someone like this. Most important thing of this episode, though, was that the fact that Vangeance took off his helmet. We do reveal that it is not the person who you think it is. It's not a good old Lee on there. You see that he has a completely cursed, burnt face, interesting enough, which curses do come back later in next week's episode that we should talk about, where additionally that he, like, his foster mother and everything and all that, and everyone and all that, from, like, his, like, since he is a noble, they did abuse him. They just, because they thought he was a cursed, freaked child. And after the midst of all of this and all that, is he met Julius, and he didn't care about his appearance. All he saw was, like, my powers, and he appreciated it for who I were with my world tree stuff. And, like, even as still, like, he's showcasing this, and, like, of course, like, you get to see with exactly how he is and everything, like, it's like, wow, your magic's really cool and all that, and it's like, it's world tree, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to see it, like, show me more of it, it's so sublime, it's majestic, and it's like, I loved it. And you find out that Julius was the person that gave them the helmet in the first place. He's like, well, if you're so, like, upset about, like, your looks and everything, although it doesn't bother me and everything, it's a wonderful magic and you seem like a wonderful person, here, made you. And it's like a very tacky, shitty helmet, and but it's still the one that William wears because it's like, it's something he cares. You share that he has a very deep love and affection, like, saying, like, this is kind of like a father figure towards me, of, like, I generally care about it, like, what he is. And, like, Julius, you just overall just get, like, no matter what, he is a very nice man. You've seen some hot, like, terrifying moments with him, when, like, especially when he, like, went to rescue Asta. It's like, when push comes to shove, this man can be the monster if he wants to. He can show you why he is the king. But a lot of the time, he is just a general, like, doting, loving father to a lot of people. Like, you've seen how he were treated with Yami and William, and that's why the two kind of relate to each other, because both of them were given a chance because of that. Like, they were able to live out their lives and, like, become something. So it was a nice thing, but it's, like, interesting enough, though, Yami's just, like, the lines of his face, they look like elite and all that. I can't sense the slightest, like, trace of magic from this scar, but he's not doing anything tricky with his magic. He's not showing me an illusion, and more than anything and all that, I can tell by his ki he ain't lying. But they're like, he's thinking, like, that must be some odd coincidence about that, but something just didn't feeling right about it, like, or at least, like, what exactly is with the curse itself. So overall, they return, and then we see with the next episode, Asta goes to get his arms checked out by their best doctor out there, which leads into the fact of Asta himself has had a curse placed on him by Vito, and not only are his bones shattered to pieces, he can no longer use those arms anymore. And the doctor straight as said, and Finral over, like, catches this by, like, ear. He's not able to fight anymore with his arms. He's not be able to do anything. He is technically, it's like, he advises them, you shouldn't be fighting anymore. You should literally, like, I'm sorry about this, but you just have to accept this kind of thing and all that. Like, with the current magic we have in our country and all that, I'm afraid I can't do anything else but just ease the pain, if anything. They had a little party because, like, overall, it's like, let's try and, you know, overall, like, Finral doesn't tell them about this until much later, where it's like, oh, look, we had a party because we just got ourselves out of the Black Stars because of, like, how well we've been doing recently with our recent operations. So, hey, we're actually no longer, like, negative stars anymore. And everyone's like, yeah, let's celebrate, have a party. And Asta's like, I'm gonna call it a night, guys. It's really early. I know it's early and everything, but don't worry about it. I'm just feeling a little bit tired. Finral steps up about this when he sees Asta disappear, and he's like, guys, we need to talk about Asta, like, seriously. Like, and he actually mentions that about the arms, and it's like, this is the only thing he had. The one thing he could do. He wasn't allowed to have magic in his life. And I think, like, again, when you can even tell as well with the episode that they used a bit of padding with the recats, but it fucking added more weight to the scenes. I will say that, at least, and all that they used the best moments from the show and the showcase and all that. This is what he's able to be and accomplish. This is all the stuff that he's done. Look at how much he's needed and relied on them. And look, just because of, like, one thing, or, like, out of everything, is, like, where he was able to come so far, and now this has to be his stopping point. And you get to see this nice moment of, like, Asta just sitting out there, like, just staring out, and it looks like he's about to cry. It looks like he's generally, like, shaking and, like, he's about to say something, and then he screams and he's like, I ain't gonna give up. Not now. Not ever and all that. Oh, I don't need my arms. If anything, screw it. I can just learn another way to fight. If not, I'll find something. I'll just deal. Like, he's like, no, I'm not after everything with, like, I'm working to become the Wizard King. And he's just like, it's this touching moment that everyone hears from Asta. He's like, on there, and you catch Vanessa said something, and if anything with the openings, it's implied that Vanessa's going to be heavily involved in the next hour. She's like, don't give up, because at least maybe those people might be able to help you. So you're like, oh, okay, Vanessa, so you've got an idea, which leads into everyone going their own way. Magna and Luck are going into this dungeon to see if they can find anything for Asta. You find out that, like, out of everyone, Noelle's going to some certain people, which is the part I'm most excited about. You get to see Gosh, is over there, like, with Gordon. They're, like, researching in the library. Charmy and Gray, I believe, are just outside in the forest looking for something, like some sort of, like, ingredient, and it's this all nice touching moment. And apparently Vanessa was the first one to leave because she's got a lead. You know, Asta overhears Fenrir and Noelle talking about this, and you know, Yami's just like, you know, if these fucking kids were actually this, like, important, like, really hard working with their jobs, we would actually be here somewhere. Like, he's just there reading the newspaper, and he knows, like Asta, what he wants to say, but he's just not saying it, because he's like, don't worry about it. Like, you know, they care about you at the end of the day. I really like that, like, overall. And, like I said, this is the most touching moment for Asta, because he actually starts to cry. He is tearing up, where he's like, maybe whoever it was, like, because he curses out fate in the start of this episode, where it's like, oh, they didn't bless me with any good magic, but then he's like, but they gave me some good friends in exchange for it, like, that actually give a shit about you. And I was like, that's, because Asta throughout this entire time has just been like plucky, screamo, like, yeah, he's always smiling, or he's never gonna be like super angry or anything, and it's like, you know, main protagonist. But then there's a moment where it's like he's being slightly real with you, and he's talking about this, and he's like, oh shit, I can't do this anymore, it's breaking me, it's hurting me apart. And it's for once you get to see Asta defenseless in a way, and I think that was the issue I had with this little small arc, I should say, that leads into the witch arc. I will say it annoys me. It's like it should have given Asta a little bit more of, like, he is defenseless now, or he is struggling even more. And I feel like the anime could have enhanced that a little bit, but still, like, it still does, like, implies it, but I still think it could have been handled a little bit here a better. But then again, that's more to do with the source material and not how the anime. I think the anime handled it, especially, like, props to, I give, like, Asta's voice actor a lot of shit, and I think he's generally improved, but he really did sell that scene where he was crying and, like, holding up, and I'm like, that is what I wished of Asta from day one, like, voice actor-wise. Like, it was generally touching. And then we see Noelle and Fenrir go to these people who, thank fucking God, we are now going to see, as the preview made me so excited for this, like, where we get to see this man known as, like, Kruger. And he's there in his house, and it's a comical moment, and he's like, oh, I'm coming out, oh, but don't open the door yet, Noelle. Oh, I'm naked, I just got out of the bath. And that's literally, it cuts out on a weird end like that, where it's like, oh, like, Noelle, like, freaks out and attacks him, and here we go. So, to explain what is happening now, this is that we are now covering the light novel. So, the light novel is canon to the series because Franzel, the girl you see in black as well, and there's one other character that you'll meet as well, it depending whether or not we're going to continue from that scene or we're going to go straight to, like, the light novel. There are 3 characters that are going to be semi-important to this arc. We never met them before in the manga, but they are in the light novel, and it was like, it was kind of implied for a lot of people where it's like, hey, you guys are important in anything, like, we should know a little bit about you. And it's like, I believe it's Franzel Dominique, I believe is like the other, the girl with black hair, I believe it's the one with blonde hair out of the group. And it's like, thank God we're covering this, because I was like, the original, like, at least what we was thinking of, like, the run for this anime was going to be with, like, the 51 episodes. It was like, okay, then we, at least with, like, how it's been told, is that the light novel is pretty short, so it sounds like it'd be 2 to 3 episodes, if anything, for the most part. But even with this stuff, that I'm finally happy that we're getting to see it, because, again, like, there are 2 things like that, like, especially with the character that we're meeting, Franzel. He does teach Asta a few things, and it's a shame because this isn't out in English, this light novel, which is annoying, and even fan translations there isn't out on there. And I was like, I've been kind of waiting. I know some snippets about what happens in there, and it sounds like some interesting stuff that Asta learns along the way. So finally, we're able to, like, see what exactly is up with these characters, because, like, I believe it is, like, definitely with him, Franzel, Mariella, I believe, is the one, like, it's either Mariella or Dominique, I believe. I think the Mariella is the one with black hair, and we don't even get to see Dominique in the opening itself, but we'll be seeing her soon enough as well. So I'm happy that these 3 characters are now finally going to be shown, because it was the biggest thing where I was like, if they need to do the witch arc, they need to show these characters. And again, in the manga, it was really jarring. And it was like later on until we learned, it's like, who the fuck are these characters? And again, it was poorly managed in a way where it's like, I guess they were expecting like kind of the cross-promotion thing. It's like, you want to know about these characters? Well, buy the light novel. Unfortunately, that didn't work over here, and like when it got translated in the States, because they like didn't bother for it, because I think at that point, Black Clover, I know the manga sells decently well. It's nowhere near like what it does to My Hero or any of the other main shonen series, but I think they didn't want to take the risk, because I think even the Naruto light novels don't sell that much, so it was like, why put this out unless they're going to do a limited release of it, and it probably cost a bit to even license that sort of material. So either or, I mean, if they ever translate it, I will definitely read it, but now we're getting the anime adaptation of it, so I'm excited, because we're going to learn some things about these characters, and we're going to be learning a little, at least a side story to say the least, about this series. So very happy to say the least it is here, because it's been the thing I've been saying since literally the anime adaptation was announced. I think even the first episodes, when we talked about it was going to be 51 episodes listing, and I'm like, we were doing the math, and it was like, we need to cover this, that, this, and here, and it was like, this is the, at least at any point where it's like, thank God. Just thank fucking God, because now, and that's the thing, I don't know whether or not, like I said, I know snippets of like the story, at least anyway with what they said in the manga about it, and also as well with like at least little synopsis stuff I known about this. We don't know if this is like fully good or not, like this little mini arc, but like, I'm just happy, just overall, because again, it illustrated, so I think we're going to be getting a little bit more of like later on. I think this was like 2 chapters that we had, so I'm looking forward to, like, I definitely am, because this is new content for me, and I know some people might consider it, like, fillerish, if anything, but to me, I'm considering, yeah, I want to know about these characters, because guess what? I liked Dominate, I liked, Mariella, and I liked Franzel. I liked all 3 of these characters, and I regret that they just never put out the material that was out with these characters. So we'll wait and see and all that, if anything. Next week is definitely going to be interesting, to say the least. It's going to be brand new content for a lot of us, so look forward to that. That's all from me. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.